Good morning and welcome to Wake Up to Broker Up with Mark, episode number 8 for 2026, Real Life Experience. So this week I get a call and it's from a Atlanta Communities real estate agent, of course it is, and the agent says, "Hey Mark, I think I have a problem." And I said, "Okay, what's up?" So the agent goes about telling me that they have a buyer that's under contract, that it has a house to sell. So they have a sale or lease of buyer's property contingency exhibit, the F601, and that date is at the end of the month, February 26th. And the buyer found another house in the interim that they wanted to buy. Meanwhile, their house is not under contract either. So guess what the buyer's agent did? They sent over the unilateral notice to terminate purchase and sale agreement and disperse earnest money. The unilateral, which is the F522. So the other side gets the unilateral and says, "Hey, we're not interested in terminating. Let's wait until after the contingency ends." Okay, here's the dirty truth about that, because I know how you guys love real life scenarios. So the real life scenario is, when the buyer's agent sent over on behalf of the buyer the unilateral, the agreement terminated. Now, the good news in this case, maybe, is that the other side doesn't realize that the buyer terminated prematurely. And so right now, based on what we think we know, the seller is still hanging in there with this buyer until the closing date for the sale or lease of the buyer's property comes and goes, the date in the contract, the date in the contingency exhibit, which is the 26th, comes and goes, which means on the 27th, the buyer can fully terminate. Meanwhile, the buyer then went under simultaneously contract, but has due diligence on a different piece of property with the sale or lease of buyer's property contingency exhibit, and used the same amount of earnest money that they used on the other contract. You see where I'm going with this? So now the first contract one, may or may not get the earnest money refunded because the buyer terminated prematurely. Meanwhile, contract number 2 is supposed to have earnest money on it, but it's still tied up with contract 1. This happens all the time. All the time, because the intent is this one will terminate, the earnest money will get moved over to the other one. The only problem is this earnest money could be tied up. The seller could realize, hey, the buyer didn't have the ability to terminate, and actually terminated when they sent over the unilateral. Now, how is it going to play out? Only time will tell. But remember, you got to stop one before you start another. And when you are in a situation that requires a termination, I've said this before, you need to consult with your broker. Why? Because if you send the wrong form, in this case the unilateral versus the mutual, then you could have a problem. And the problem could be avoided just by simply picking up the phone and calling your broker, because your broker is going to tell you exactly what you can do or not do if you don't know what you're supposed to do on your own. And it's okay to call. It's not like people are going to go, "Oh my gosh, can't believe you're calling about that again," and we hang up. That's not the case. We're going to be helpful. We're here to help. Earnest money is important for everybody involved. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.